President Biden tweeted this out. He's finishing the job of delivering $2,000 in direct relief to the hardest hit Americans. That's the American Rescue Plan. Now, you notice he doesn't say finishing the job of delivering $2,000 checks, because that's not what he's delivering. He's delivering $1,400 checks to some people, and then they're going to means test the other part, and then they're reducing your unemployment. So they're doing it themselves. They can give you whatever they want, and they're not doing it, and they don't want everyone to see. By the way, is Twitter disputing the claim with this tweet? Because this is not an accurate tweet. That should be flagged for fake news. That should be flagged for misinformation. He's not getting you a $2,000 stimulus check. I love that the American Rescue Plan will complete the $2,000 stimulus.
Oh, the gaslighting! It's so
they misspelled delete, I think. I think that's what that is. And so then the Democrats, so that's President Biden tweeting that out, Justin. And then here is the Democrats tweeted this out. The President of the United States will build on the $600 down payment provided by Congress last year, sending an additional $1,400 to households across America, totaling direct payments of $2,000 per person. And I guess they're hoping no one notices what they're doing. That's what this.
Yeah, definitely.
It's kind of like what all the people were doing against Forced to Vote. They were hoping nobody noticed, and then we did notice, right?
And they came around eventually.
They came around eventually.
Like eventually. Too late.
And
then, didn't organize or anything for the force the minimum wage vote.
So isn't that funny that we organized for Forced to Vote for Medicare for All, but then nobody organized for Forced to Vote for a $15 minimum wage. Not Our Revolution, not Brand New Congress, not the Justice Democrats, not DSA, not the TYT, the young. Nobody did it.
Yeah.
Nobody did it. And then so what they do, they did a video saying somebody should have did this.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Go ahead.
It's honestly upsetting because these are just missed opportunities. Like if we're trying to actually, get to a better society and get these programs implemented, we're missing opportunities here, right? We missed with Forced to Vote because didn't get the committee assignments we wanted, right? Didn't get, got kicked off of those committees, actually. Like Katie Porter got kicked off the committee.
And so did AOC.
Like we didn't get any advances. The PAYGO waiver, like Nancy Pelosi instituted PAYGO. So if you get a PAYGO waiver just for COVID, that's 2 steps backwards, 1 step forward. We're still behind. You see what I'm saying? So
yes, I see what you're saying.
We got to start taking advantage of these opportunities. And this is another thing with the minimum wage, because if they don't put it in this bill, they're not going to put it in the next reconciliation bill.
No.
Like it's going to be a harder fight then.
That's right.
It's a popular bill. You got to force it into this bill, and we're missing out on that.
You are, again, astute politically for a 24-year-old. You got it down. You see it as it's straight there. It's right in front of your face. This isn't, again, I don't know if you saw Cenk Uygur, who was kneecapping Forced to Vote, is now saying this is basic politics. Yeah, right. That's what we've all been saying this whole time.
That's what we said.
That's basic politics. So I love what Rebecca says. You're all so silly. They obviously didn't mean $2,000 checks, and you were really the dumb ones for believing them when they used actual images of $2,000 checks and repeatedly said $2,000 checks. Ha, ha, ha. It's you dummies believed politicians. That's what the Biden and the Democrat defenders are saying. That's kind of hilarious. And here's what the Washington Post, I wanted to show you this. So you saw this headline, Justin. This is the Washington Post. Yeah. This is their headline. Biden stimulus showers money. Showers money. Sharply cutting poverty and favoring individuals over businesses. Wow. Be Happy Pours, brought to you by the paper owned by the second richest man in the world. So this is the newspaper telling you, be happy with the crumbs you're getting. Right. The rest of the world has been getting a check every month. You're getting crumbs again. We're reducing your unemployment and no minimum wage. Suck it. And Jeff Bezos' paper is here to tell you, you should be happy. That's what that is. They forgot to add depending on if you meet the requirements and if the year was 1950. That's what they forgot to add to that headline there. That's the Washington Post. Straight up propaganda for Joe Biden. Straight up propaganda. I mean, I don't even think the Democrats would be so ballsy to put that in a press release. We're showering money on Americans. That is kind of amazing. Go ahead.
I've been seeing a lot of tweets about like people quote tweeting. You know how they post those like fan cam like pictures of them like walking, saying like week 4, like going into week 4, all that type of shit, like as if they've done so much. Like as if they've done so much. People are still they signed the bill, but at this moment right now, people are still fighting evictions. I just saw a video of people fighting evictions in New York. They're holding protests because people are being evicted already. And if you've been evicted and you can't, show them you have 2 or 3 months of income, it's hard to get a new lease.
That's right.
Like, so it's already late, okay? So stop acting like you've done so much, right? And this is the same thing with the Washington Post. Like, they're acting like this is this monumental bill, but they're saying that because that's what the Biden administration is saying. And that's what the Democrats are saying.
That's right. And Bernie Sanders is also helping run interference for them, gaslighting people into thinking this is a great bill when everyone knows it's not a great bill, because Tiffany says the stimulus check will sharply cut poverty. Really? How far do they think a one-time check of $1,400 go? Rent for a small one-bedroom apartment in many areas starts around $1,800 a month. Way to be detached from reality.
They are. They're completely detached.
Completely. Even North Korea has more subtle propaganda than the Washington Post just pulled off. That is a fact.
That's funny.
I mean, you're getting a $1,400 check. Stop buying avocado toast. Right. Even North Korea has a more subtle propaganda. How about the People's Party tweeted out, it's almost like the media outlet is owned by an oligarch or something. It's almost like that. Yeah. Spoiler alert, a bunch of the other newspapers are owned by one too. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
By the way, here's their Washington Post opinion. This is their editorial board. This is their idea. They say why increasing the stimulus checks from $600 to $2,000 is a bad idea.
Oh, my God.
That's the editorial board handpicked by the world's richest man, Jeff Bezos. That's there, the editorial board. That's not some jagoff they hired. That's the paper's thinking. Go ahead, Justin.
That just shows the frame at which they're looking at their world. They think that this is a good thing to write. How is it ever worse to give people more money? It doesn't make it, like, defies logic. And then they act like we live in a meritocracy and they just got to this position because they're the smartest.
Right.
Because they're the best. No, like that's not the case. This is a terrible headline. And I mean, that's the Washington Post, though.
Do you watch
their editorial board? Like, that's important.
Yeah, that's not, again, like, that's not
everything goes through their room. Like,
that's not just one jerk that they hired. That's the whole thing. Hey, we gathered collectively and we found out that we're all horrible at the Washington Post, not just one guy. I bet they have the worst holiday parties ever. I bet it's a cash bar. Hey, if we gave you free booze, it would just hurt you. If we gave you nice things. I do have to shout out Jeff Stein because I use him a lot in my show. He's like the one actual reporter at the Washington Post.
And it's like he's celebrated by the left because he's in like actual reporter and actually reports the facts, accurately and frames them in the correct way.
I think I've actually featured him on our show a few times.
And I'm like, how did he slip through?
Well, believe me, if he keeps doing that, he's out. As soon as his contract is up. If he's actually doing good work, he's out, Justin, and you fucking know that.
I'm interested to see. I hope not.
I'll see. Well, here's what Wendell Potter says. He says, as a former health insurance executive who quit the business, let me tell you, no one will be more excited about the new COVID package than my old friends in the corporate insurance industry. It would funnel $48 billion of taxpayer money to them after their most profitable year to date.
Yeah. Can I actually comment on that?
Yeah.
Because I just did a video about Chris Murphy tweeted out something about in the American Rescue Plan, there's a premium cap. It's 8.5%. but it is so means tested, and it doesn't say anything about deductibles, right? It doesn't say anything about deductibles, capping those, nothing about copays. So it's so means tested that someone making like $80,000, which in Congress they think is rich, right? Instead of making $80,000 living in LA being difficult, you're lower middle class. And with that healthcare premium cap, they pretty much don't get any of the subsidy. So their premiums are the same, almost $300, $400 a month. Like, it's tough to live off that. Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Wendell Potter goes on. He says, for years, insurers and pundits have called for Americans to put more skin in the game when it comes to healthcare spending. With healthcare costs already at $3.8 trillion a year and now a fresh $48 billion windfall courtesy of taxpayers, there isn't more skin for folks to give. Here's MSNBC's on Morning Joe. They were trying to convince House progressives to vote for a bill without the minimum wage. In terms of attacks from the left, they are actually really grateful for the support of Bernie Sanders, who they believe have given them progressive cover here. And then, by the way, this tweet had, do you see this little warning at the bottom? It says the following media includes potentially sensitive content. And what was that potentially sensitive? This is real. Here's what that potentially sensitive content was. This guy saying this.
Well, there was certainly some sarcastic behind-the-scenes commentary about Senate Majority Leader Joe Manchin, considering the senator from West Virginia's outsized influence on the process right now. Those in the West Wing weren't always delighted about that, but they recognize that deals had to get made. And in terms of attacks from the left, they are actually really grateful for the support of Bernie Sanders, who they believe has given them progressive cover here. That, yes, there are some on the very left portions of the party in the House who will have some complaints, who might make a little bit of noise this week. But they feel like if Bernie Sanders is on board with this and he released a statement afterwards touting how historic it was and how necessary it was, that the progressives will fall in line too, that this party has been able to, despite some of this opposing tension, stay together for this.
So there's the guy saying that Bernie Sanders is the guy who's actually snowing the progressives about this shitty bill, and here he is doing it. I'll show it to you. What we did is write and pass a bill to address the crisis facing the American people, not the wealthy and large corporations. The result is the most significant piece of legislation to benefit the working class in many years. And that's just Bernie's flat out fucking bullshitting you at the behest of the establishment, the oligarchs, and the Democratic Party, because that is straight up bullshit, and he fucking knows it, and he's been doing it nonstop since he dropped out of the race and even before. And I'm just going to laugh about it now. Justin, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest piece of legislation that progressives could have wanted in that bill was $15 minimum wage.
Right.
We knew we weren't going to get Medicare for all in that damn bill. We saw that, weeks, months before. But the fact that that's not in this bill, and that the next Bernie says he's going to keep fighting for it. I believe him, but in his way, he's not fighting for it how we really want him to fight for, like holding up bills like Joe Manchin is doing. Right?
Yeah, so when he says he's going to fight for it, he means he's going to politely suggest it, but he won't actually ever do anything to make sure it happens.
He's not going to withhold his vote like Joe Manchin.
Right, correct. Joe Manchin.
The fact that that's not in this bill, and then like I've been explaining, the rest of it is very means tested. And as for being a millennial, there's not a lot of millennials that have families. Young millennials, because we have so many debts and so many costs that people aren't starting families till later.
Yeah, that's right.
So it helps people with kids a little bit. The tax credit was already $2,000. You could refund $1,400. Now they moved to $3,000. So it's helping a little bit, but it's means tested. So don't act like this is this amazing, huge bill. And now progressives in the House aren't going to force the vote on it because, like you say, it's giving them cover.
That's Bernie Sanders giving cover to Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. That's not Bernie Sanders sticking his neck out for workers or students or millennials. That's him running cover, interference for the people who are taking $15 minimum wage out of the bill. He didn't threaten to put a hold on the bill. He didn't threaten to not vote for it like Joe Manchin did. So Bernie Sanders, again, as Kyle Kalinske says, he's a cuck to the party. And that's exactly what he's doing, because what's not in that bill? Where is the student loan cancellation? Unemployment benefits are actually reduced in the bill. There's no minimum wage and $1,400 instead of $2,000. This is ridiculous. And if you guys think you're going to fucking win another election, I'm going to laugh. Suddenly what FDR did is not of the modern era. He'd laugh at this weak shit. That's exactly right. You should have voted against it to get the $15 an hour included. The corporocrats are willing to play hardball. You have to be willing to do the same, Bernie. And if you look at the stats from the Great Recession, there was no recovery. Black families are still behind by tens of thousands from it. There won't be any recovery from this either. Just a permanent underclass in tent cities. You want to hear Joe Biden?
That's all true.
Here he is.
Awesome.
If you send John and the Reverend to Washington, those $2,000 checks will go out the door.
We will be able to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people next week.
We'll deliver the $2,000 stimulus checks.
And that begins with the $2,000 stimulus.
When you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks. You send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks.
They will make decisions about whether we give people a $2,000 check.
We need to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people.
For getting people that $2,000 in relief, direct payment.
Congress should pass $2,000 checks. President-elect Biden and Democrats are all pushing for $2,000 relief checks.
$2,000 stimulus checks.
$2,000 relief checks.
$2,000 relief checks. They should send $2,000 checks to the American people right now.
Supporting $2,000 relief payments right now.
We need to be passing the $2,000 stimulus relief checks.
That means we need Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, who will go to D.C. to ensure the $2,000 checks.
You see ads that say, want your $2,000 stimulus check? Vote Democrat. Vote for Warnock.
The stimulus check. Chuck Schumer is trying to increase it to $2,000.
Well, I actually have a bill for that.
One of the first things that I want to do when our new senators are seated is deliver the $2,000 checks to the American families.
And the debate over $2,000 isn't some abstract debate.
$2,000 checks, so kind of actually $1,400 checks.
By electing John and the Reverend, we'll put an end to the block in Washington on that $2,000 stimulus check.
10 moderate Republicans want a seat at the table to pitch a slimmed-down relief proposal.
That money that will go out the door immediately.
What they might be willing to do is negotiate on those stimulus checks.
How can you assure Americans that relief will come and come soon?
Have you ever known anyone in the history of the United States of America that could be president and assure exactly what the Congress is going to do? That money that will go out the door immediately. And that's not hyperbole, that's real.
So you could clearly hear in that video, they were actually saying $1,400 checks. They were all saying $1,400 checks. They weren't saying $2,000 checks. So any response to that, as we close out this sketch?
Nah, it's just the fact that like $600, right? $600 extra. The fact that they're tripping over that little amount of money to them. As much money as they've spent, you telling me spending $200 or $300 billion more to give people a $600 extra dollars? That's it, just $600. After a whole year of a crisis, just $600. Like, that's too much to ask of y'all. Like, the bar is on the floor for these people.
So they did this. Now
they're not even recurring. That's where the frame of the argument should be.
Yes.
These need to be recurring checks.
So when
because that's what the rest of the world has been doing.
That's right. The rest, nobody's talking about that either. You go on the news. I went on Tucker Carlson. I was the only person who I ever heard say that on the network news, that this isn't happening in other countries, that other countries are giving people monthly checks. And nobody ever says that. I don't watch the TV news that much, but I have never seen it. Have you seen somebody say that on the news?
No, I haven't. And they haven't even said how other countries just subsidize the wages of the company, so no one went on unemployment.
That's right.
Have you heard the horror stories of people like waiting or trying to get unemployment checks for like 30 days?
Yes.
As they're like late on rent, late on utilities. They're calling the government. It takes a whole month to hear back from them. Why don't you just subsidize the wages of the companies so people can stay home?
So here's why. So when you were 12 or 13, we had an economic crash caused by Wall Street. And we had Barack Obama as president. Now, Barack Obama was installed by Citibank. We know that. And, I mean, his whole entire cabinet came from an email. WikiLeaks revealed that, which is why they're still trying to kill that guy. And what we thought was that Barack Obama was going to help people. He was going to help them keep their homes. He was going to devise a bill that would help them keep their homes. What Barack Obama did and Timothy Geithner did was they wrote a bill that actually helped the banks and made them solid and whole, but it made the homeowners default on their loans. That was the plan. It wasn't to help them keep it. The plan, as revealed by Matt Taibbi and Dave Dane, the plan, it wasn't a bug that people lost their and defaulted on their mortgage. That was the plan. And the reason why they wanted people to default on their loans and they kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes instead of saving their homes is because they wanted to give those homes to Wall Street so then Wall Street could sell them again. And that's exactly what happened. And so that's what they're doing right now. The reason why they don't want you to have your rent payment or your mortgage payment because they want you to default so they can give that property to the creditors. Who are the creditors? Wall Street. They're doing the exact same thing, and they're doing it again, and no one's calling them out. Why in the fuck wouldn't they give people a $2,000 check like it's coming out of Joe Biden's own bank account or something when we all know they're just going to print the money? There's nothing in it politically for them to do this, so the only explanation is that they are doing this for their Wall Street donors, and the biggest tools of Wall Street in the Democratic Party are Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. There it is.
That's where he gets most of his money from, Chuck Schumer.
So there you go. And Bernie Sanders running interference for him. I'm not going to be the guy screaming about it this time. Let somebody else scream about it. You know what? Nobody's gonna scream about it. And Bernie's going to get to whitewash you and put a bullshit face on the Democratic Party like he always did. And everybody's just going to take it. And everybody's going to think Bernie's a nice guy. Bernie's selling you out at a fucking nuclear speed left and right. And nobody sees it. He's going to fight for a 50. He's not fighting for shit. He wouldn't even fight for his own fucking campaign. He's not going to fight for you. Believe me. He'll never fight, ever. He'll fight for whatever Joe Biden says he can fight for. Anyway, anything else?
It hurt. It hurt when he called Joe Biden his friend. That hurts.
That's your good friend.
No, knowing what Joe Biden has done legislatively, specifically to the black community, come on. I know you have to coexist with these people, but don't call them your friend.
Don't rehabilitate a goddamn war criminal. How about that?
That's messed up. Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Oh, I know why you're doing that because you don't have a spine and you don't want to be Ralph Nader. I got it. I get it. That's the best we got in the Senate. That's the best. He's the best we got.
That's it.
And now you know why there's people living under every bridge. Americans still don't have health care or a living wage because the best we got is a cucked fucking Democrat. That's the best we got. Wow. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.